Welcome to NewsClick. Today, we are discussing what's happening on the COVID-19 front, particularly as we now have the reports of a new mutation that seems to have taken place, or a set of mutations that have taken place. India has also crossed the 10 million number of COVID-19 infections last week. So we are one of the largest in the world. And of course, we are not still on the scale of the United States, which is well ahead of us. But the virus mutation raises issues that how effective our vaccines will be if and when they're available in India. And we're going to discuss both these aspects, the mutation, the increasing transfer that seems to be transmission that seems to be taking place, and what are the possible impacts it might have on our vaccines. Satyajit, to start with, the question that this seems to be causing some alarm, that this is what would be called the transmission rate seems to be significantly higher in this mutation, or sets of mutations, because it seems to be not one mutation, but a set of mutations. So quick question, two questions in one. One is, what is this mutation that has taken place, set of mutation that has taken place, and the transmission rate, how high is it? Is it really confirmed? And is it something that we should really worry about?
Yeah, so as you point out, this is not one mutation in the sense of one isolated change that we're talking about. We're talking about a whole range of changes through the entire gene set of the virus, all its many different genes. So there are things that we must remember not to get panicky about. So let me go over those first. And then we might want to talk about the interesting science involved in the variant virus, which let's call it. So firstly, this is not a more virulent form of the virus. There is no evidence whatsoever. There isn't even any speculative basis for thinking that this variant is going to cause more serious disease.
That means even if people get infected, it will not put them in much larger numbers in ICUs and so on. No. That part of it seems to be same as what the current infections are. That is one part of it.
So that's one part. A second part is that at the moment we have no clear evidence that the changes in this variant virus are actually biologically meaningful, that they are functional in any sense. The entire abundance of caution response that is being seen worldwide is driven based on correlations. So what is the correlation needs to be remembered. The correlation is that a couple of months ago in Britain, this variant seemed to account for about a quarter of the infections in southeastern England. More recently, it seems to account for almost 2/3 of those infections. This is subject to statistical error because everything is not being sequenced. Even though the United Kingdom has one of the world's best sequencing records in the sense that they actually sequence the entire virus gene set of many more isolates than most other places in the world, most other countries in the world, it's still 5% or so of the total infections. So by no means are these terribly statistically reliable. But because this particular variant has grown in prominence over time, grown in relative prominence in the community over time, and this is being taken as a correlative evidence for the possibility that it spreads more rapidly.
Quick interjection here. So about 25% say, or 20-25% say 2 months back, it's now about 60%, roughly 60% in southeastern England. That's what we're really talking about. And therefore the possibility that if this is spreading faster than others, that therefore its transmissibility would be more. That's the broad argument.
So clearly it has increased in prominence. This increase in relative prominence could simply be accidental because social behavior and accidental events simply happened to involve this particular strain. That formally remains possible. But it's also possible that it is because it's a little bit more transmissible. And that second possibility of a biological transmissibility increase is supported by at least a couple of the changes in this variant. At least one of these changes involves the binding to cells, the virus protein, the spike protein that allows the virus particle to stick to cells and to infect it. And there is evidence that the change that has taken place actually increases binding efficiency. Whether that increase in binding efficiency is deeply meaningful in real life or not is not yet clear, but it lends plausibility and credence. But being more transmissible does not mean being able to cause more severe disease at all.
But it does mean the rate of infection, that means my ability to infect others could be a little more if I'm infected myself.
Correct. So let me put this in black and white terms. What this means is at the level of individual risk assessment, nothing changes. At the level of community risk assessment, from the point of view of public policy, we need to be a little more cautious, a little more careful, and so on and so forth. Because what is increasing is the likelihood, if all of these guesses are correct, the likelihood that per week there will be more cases. And if that happens, then the healthcare systems will get that much put under strain. So public policy needs to worry. But individuals don't need to worry thinking that, oh, this has become a much more virulent strain. No.
So the real issue is, of course, when it comes to pandemic or epidemic control, this